And for many of you who know or are very poor and with mental illness, you know that food and good food is a really big deal for people that are in poverty. And New Vernon Presbyterian gives home-cooked meals for our clients quarterly at their beautiful church in Harding. They've also supported the Libby Doral Fund. And as a matter of fact, tonight I'm announcing that they're giving $5,000 for the Libby Doral Fund, which we appreciate. And they've also worked with our homeless folks to furnish apartments and give our clients different services through our mental health faith resource network. And they've also supported our Edmonds Haven Homeless Job and Center. So if representatives from the church wouldn't mind coming up to receive an award. Kathy Shealy and Phil Von Kirk are coming. And Anthony Bucco also has a legislative resolution from the state legislature. And this is an award in recognition and gratitude of your significant support to MHA in living out our shared values of serving people in the community when they are most in need.
I first wanted to thank our congregation member, Phil Van Kirk, for introducing our church to this organization. It has been such a blessing for us to host social club dinners. It's truly one of the highlights, and we love doing it. If your organization has not done this, I strongly suggest that you call Tracy and sign up to host one of their social club dinners. It is very special and lots of fun. Everything that we have done with this organization is positive, and we have gotten more blessings from doing this, so thank you very, very much.
Our final award tonight is to the St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Mountain Lakes, and they've also done what New Vernon has done. They've given us dinners for our guests, our clients. They've given money to the Libby Doral Fund. They've given money to our Homeless Resource Center. But I wanted to tell the story about Adele Hatfield, the minister at the church. Chuck and Adele Hatfield are the co-rectors of St. Peter's Church. About a year ago, I received a phone call from a friend of mine from high school that she knew that I work with faith leaders. And she had a nephew, who I'll give the name Tom, it's not his real name, who was hospitalized in a local hospital for a psychotic episode. Wanted to know if I knew any ministers that could visit Tom. And I called Reverend Adele Hatfield, and she visited Tom 3 times in the hospital. And a couple of things happened during those hospital visits. First off, in the waiting room, one of the social workers said to her, "You know, we never have ministers around here. It's great to have you." And she told me later that she prayed with people in the waiting room while they were waiting for their doctors. Well, she spoke to this guy, Tom, and there was no miracle cure. There was no faith healing, but she did give him a wooden cross. And I called my friend a few months ago to ask her how Tom was doing. And Tom said that he's still struggling. He's doing a little better. He's on medication, trying to find the right dose. He's in treatment for his substance abuse, but he carries that wooden cross wherever he goes. And the reason I think this is a really good example of what faith communities can provide to people who are mentally ill is that when people have dementia or Alzheimer's, when they get old and at times lose their memory, they always remember prayer and song. Prayer and song lie very deep in the human brain and are very profound influences on us. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important that we work now in our new initiative with faith communities to use all the resources of our community to come together for people that are most in need and most struggling. Last year, I spoke in front of the Episcopal Diocese of Newark, thanks to Chuck Hatfield, who invited me there. And there were about 65 ministers in the room. And I asked them, how many of you have visited somebody in a hospital in the last 6 months? And all of them raised their hand. I said, how many of your congregations have sent a greeting card to someone who was ill get well card. All of them raised their hand. Then I said, how many of you ministers have visited somebody in a psychiatric hospital in the last 6 months? And none of them raised their hand. And then I said, how many of your congregations have sent a get well card for people with a psychiatric illness in a hospital? And no one raised their hand. I knew that Adele Hatfield was in the room, and she had visited, and she had sent a card, and she didn't raise her hand because of her humility. But we both knew that she was the example that everybody should emulate. Mental illness is a disease like other diseases, and people deserve the same respect that they would have if they had a medical condition. I want to welcome Adele and Chuck up to the stage. And this reads, to the St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Mountain Lakes, in recognition and gratitude for your significant support to Mental Health Association in living out our shared values of serving people in the community when they are most in need.
I didn't prepare a speech, but I'm very humbled to represent our congregation in receiving this award. We all have been touched in some way by mental illness in our families, and so it is something that binds us together. One of the things we talk about a lot in our church is how important community is, and I can look at this wonderful community of people who care about those who suffer from mental illness and know that we are strong and we have a lot to offer. And as many have said, there's a lot more to do, isn't there? There are always people in need. We are just so gratified to be part of this partnership. I want to invite Don McGowan to come up here too, because Don is one of our leaders in our congregation. He's senior warden actually now. But a few years ago, he pointed down the street and to the end of Boulevard. He said, "You know where the Mental Health Association is?" And I said, "No." And he was a volunteer and began to tell me a little bit about what was going on with the wonderful, I'm going to call it ministries, that are happening there. And so because of his involvement and especially after meeting Lou, who just was so compelling in his passion for this work, we have become drawn into this partnership, which is just so gratifying to me personally, because Lou and I are good friends now, but also just in the way that people in our congregation have responded and become so interested and a part of what is happening. So we're so glad you're our neighbor, and as the Bible says, love God and love your neighbor. And we're so glad that that has really come to pass in our relationship. I'm doing all the talking, Chuck. Sorry.
I knew that's normal, so that's okay. I will add one more thing that if you could hold that for a second, and that's that, you know, as Adele said, Lou has become a part of the St. Peter's family as well. I mean, we like to see him once or twice a year and have him at one of our services to talk. Like he mentioned, I got him at the diocesan level at our convention last year, and hope to get him back here maybe in the next year. And because there's so many things that the people are hungry for and don't know. And when Don and Adele and we talked with Lou, you know, there were some people that were concerned. I mean, you know, what is this all about? And once you really feel it, understand it, and live it, how can you not? How can you not be a part of that and want to do more? And, you know, convincing and showing people what they can do with just a little bit, it's not that hard. And I also think what you mentioned about the dinners, we also do the quarterly dinners, and when Don sends that note out, he has more things than we always have more food and more stuff than we need. And, you know, people just pour out what they can and offer to help somebody else, and it's a good feeling. and especially sitting around at the table with some of the members of the club and trying to just have a conversation with them and then make them feel welcome. And that's really what it's all about in community. Thanks again, Lou.
Wait a minute.
Don's got to add. Hold it, here you go.
Yeah, I need to add a word to this too, because what Adele said is absolutely right. When I first went to St. Peter's about 6 years ago, just a mile up the boulevard from the Mental Health Association, and said, "Do you know about this?" And the answer was no. Well, Lou and I have conversations from time to time, and this is just among us few friends here. I'm going to tell you what we talk about. And I say, "Lou, somehow, some way, the Mental Health Association has to become better known. We don't need a big neon sign in front of the building on Route 46, but it's one of the most important, best kept secrets in town. And all of us need to do whatever we can to spread that word." It's great to see everybody, and thanks for this recognition.